is Samantha from Jessima Tutorials here, and today I'm going to show you how to create some twisty earrings using alcohol ink, polymer clay and a silkscreen. Now what I've got here is black Primo polymer clay rolled out to about 1.5 millimeters on my pasta machine. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to transfer it over to a piece of plain printing paper. And before I start anything, I'm going to give it a quick burnish, because when you run things through the pasta machine, sometimes it can leave roller lines, and you want a nice smooth surface to work with before applying any of the mixed media. I'm going to flip over and apply it to the back, because the back is going to be visible and I want that to be smooth too. Okay, and that's your first step. Once you're done with that, grab some metal leaf, and today I'm using silver so that the colours of ink that I use appear true. You can use something like gold and it will give it kind of a vintage tint, so just bear in mind what colour metal leaf you use. Okay, I'm just going to grab that out of the leaflet. So, and apply that to my clay. You can bring the leaflet back over again, give it a very quick burnish just to make sure that that metal leaf has stuck down, and there you go. Okay, and I am going to just grab this and I'm going to flip it over. And I am going to apply some metal leaf to the back as well, because I'm essentially going to be duplicating effects so that we have the same effect on both sides. So I'll grab another piece of leaf, apply that, and burnish that down. Okay, and there we go. And now we're ready to apply alcohol inks. And the inks that I have chosen are primaries. I'm using a yellow, a blue and a red. Okay, and I've flipped it back over to the first side and I've opened up the inks as well. And I'm going to start with the lightest colour of ink. Oops, let me just turn this down, there we go. And all I'm going to do is I'm just going to drop it down like so, the lightest colour being the yellow. Now I'm going to grab the blue, and I'm only going to put the blue down on the one side, and then I'm going to repeat for the red, putting down 3 drops on the other side. Okay, and then because this is the lightest colour and I want it to mix with the others, I'm going to drop down a couple more just to get it to spread a little bit. There we go. And then I can start mixing some of the colours, like I want some orange around here, so I just pop down another bit of red, and I want over here to be green, so I'm going to put the blue on top of the yellow and maybe just a little bit over there. Now I don't want to overwork it too much. Let me just pop another blue here to fill the space out a little bit, and you can always just grab a brush to just kind of break the seal between the drops, and that helps it spread a little bit, like so. And I don't want to over mix it, but I don't want any silver showing through. There we go. Then you're going to allow that to just sit and dry for roughly a minute, just enough to let the alcohol inks to sit a little bit. And then I'm going to bring over some isopropyl alcohol. Any strength of alcohol will work. This is a 90%, but any will work. And I just got this from a hardware store. And we're going to spray that on here, and we're going to start mixing things together. I also want you to prepare any kind of rag. I use the baby wipes that I use to kind of clean the area, have that ready to go. And yeah, Just going to let that sit for a bit longer. Okay, and that should do. Then I'm going to be spraying the isopropyl alcohol just from a distance. I can't have this on camera because it's too far away. I'm going to spray once, twice, thrice. Let's see how that comes out. I'm going to do it one more time and another. There we go, specifically in that area there. Alright, and this is going to break things up and get it to start blooming. Then while that is active, grab that rag that I was talking about and start tapping over the surface. And this is not going to pick up all the ink, but it will start blending it. And once it starts going dark, swap to a different spot, blend some more, swap to a different spot, blend some more. It's important to swap spots because otherwise you're going to just end up with green. Okay, and that will just kind of blend it and bring some other colours over. And there you can see how that looks. Alright, and then from there you're pretty much good to move on to the next step. I'd advise making sure that the alcohol inks are closed so that you don't end up spilling them. So I will do that in a moment. And then also grab a bit of translucent and roll that out as thin as you can possibly get it. Okay, and here it is. I've got that as thin as I can get it. You can also thin it out a little more by just gently stretching it, but you might end up with some tears, which is fine. I can patch those up later. Then you're going to take that and you're going to lay that over the top of your piece and then smooth out. I'm going to make sure that those two pieces meet, there we go, and then smooth out the air bubbles like so. And just on these spots where we had tears, I am going to make sure to smooth that clay over to fill in those tears. There we go. And then you're going to want to grab a piece of paper again. Just bear with me a moment. There we go. And give it a good old burnish to make sure that everything is stuck down completely. But you want to kind of smooth out the air bubbles and tend to things like tears before doing this. Right, and that should do. And what this is going to do is it's going to protect that metal leaf later on. And also I'm going to be silk screening this, and when I silk screen, the metal leaf, once it's got the alcohol ink on it, is quite sticky. So if you put something on it like a silk screen and then lift the silk screen up, more often than not, the silk screen will pull up the leaf. So the translucent layer just makes a nice protective coat, while also at the same time giving depth to the piece, because the silk screen is going to be one step above the metal leaf. Now you can use any silk screen you want. I am going to be using this one, which I think is going to look quite nice. I'm just going to peel that off the backing. Okay, and then just lay that down on top like so. Give it a quick smooth down to burnish it into place. Grab white acrylic paint and just pop that over the top, and just bear with me for a moment while I do that. Just gotta wait for it to come through. There we go. Pop that across. You don't need much. And then take a card and swipe across the surface, making sure to embed the paint into the, or to press the paint through the silk screen. Okay, there we go. Put that to the side. Then pick up the edge of that silk screen and peel up to reveal your pattern. Then take that silkscreen and clean that in a sink of water and allow it to dry. And then I'm going to flip over, and I'm going to have already done the alcohol ink technique, and we're going to silkscreen the other side. Okay, and here it is completely dry, and I decided to not silkscreen the back. Also, I have decided against making twisty earrings. I'm instead going to make a necklace and earring set, because this didn't turn out quite the way I imagined it. Still looks really nice, but I don't think that the twisty earrings are going to be the best way to go about using it. So I'm just trimming off the extra, oh gosh, what you call it, translucent over there. And what I am going to do now is just stretch it out a little bit. I'm just going to lie that down. Going to grab a roller, go roll one way, roll back the other way, grab, lift, turn, roll, and roll. And this is going to loosen the clay up a bit. It's also going to crackle it just a touch. Also, don't mind my cat eating in the background if you can hear that. But this is going to crackle the leaf, make the clay a little more supple and just a little nicer to work with. And there, hopefully you can see there on the back the crackles that we're getting. Alright, then I'm going to just grab a tile, and here's that tile, and I'm going to trim away the extra clay around the edges here, because I don't want to catch that and have just plain kind of smoky black. So always trim before cutting, and just make sure you catch all those edges, and those can be used as scraps. And I'm just going to double check on the other side, make sure that I catch those edges as well. And then if you need to, you can stretch it out a little more. Okay, and I've just got it on the tile, and that way I'll be able to just bake it straight the way it is. Now, just moving that to the side, I'm going to be using this teardrop set, and I sell this on my Etsy store, Jessima Design. There'll be a link in the description below, but use any cutters that you want. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the 3 smallest cutters for the necklace set, and then the second largest cutter for the earrings, and then the other 2 I won't use at all. Now I'm just going to pop those to the side, bring this back over, and let's see, I'm going to cut the earring last. I'm going to first cut with these, and you've got to find the middle spot. And I think that's a decent middle spot, and then I want these to come up on either side, like so, and I'm just testing out where they're going to land when I cut it out, so that I can position this cutter to get the best earring possible as well. So just make sure that you plan this out before actually cutting anything out. You'll be much happier in that case. Okay, so I'm going to move this just down a little bit and to the right, and then I am good to cut. Alright, so just plan that out first. Then take this, press down, and press down again, lift and lift, and then I'm going to pop them down on the other side, press down and press down, lift up and lift up, and you can lift your middle one now. And that's what the necklace set is going to look like. Then I'm going to take this, and I'm going to cut here so that I get some of the green and the red. And then I'm going to do the same over here, again making sure that the bottom, the large round part, is catching the red. so. And there we go. Okay, and I did have a little bit left, so I cut out two more over here, and those are going to essentially be opposite earrings, where one is green and one is red. And you could cut out more if you want, but that's pretty much all that I'm going to cut out. The rest I would use as scraps. Okay, now we're going to pull this off. Just grab and pull. I'm trying to keep them somewhat separate because that makes for some fantastic scraps. And there we go. That is the finished piece, at least for now. Now this is going to go into the oven for a full hour at Primo's recommended temperature. You're going to find that the translucent clears up and the whole piece is just going to look really nice. And then I think we're probably going to apply resin to these when they're done. Resin on one side and then varnish on the other side. I'm just going over the front here to make sure that there's no fingerprints. But yeah, that I'm going to pop to the side. And I do want to show you what to do with the scraps because they're really quite nice and I really like using the scraps. So in this case what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take all of that and I'm just going to squish it together like so. Really just pop it all together, trying to keep it in generally the same pattern as I had before, so red with red, green with green. Okay, and just squish that out. It's going to be stretching the pattern a little bit, and bear in mind that the back also is going to be doing that. And I'm just going to close up this hole over here, and I think I'm going to make some twisted earrings with this because this probably will work for that. Okay, and then just bring that around and just try to get it all together into one piece. Grab a piece of paper like usual, give it a quick burnish. You can even roll to stretch things out. I'm never particularly careful with scraps. The whole point is to kind of mush things up and see how it goes. Right, there we go. And that's what that side looks like. And now I want to make it into a little less of an obvious smoosh together, I guess. So I'm just going to grab this strip cutter and I'm going to cut down. And you could use your blade too, this just makes it a little quicker. Cut down. Do the same here. And then I'm going to grab this and I'm going to go across. Press down. And this is going to cut it into equal squares for me, like so. Okay. And let's see, what should I do now? I'm gonna maybe take away the pieces around the edge so that I'm just left with the tidy squares. So let me just move that. You could squish that together and use it as well. But let's just use the squares. Now I'm going to just pick this one up and this one up. Okay. Lift that up so that it's not stuck to the tile. And then I'm actually just going to bring over one of the pieces of paper that I had from before. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take squares at random and I'm going to patch them together so that the pattern is broken up like so. And I'm doing that on a piece of paper because generally that just makes it a lot easier because then you can just move things around. Here we go. And then I'll see how this comes out and then decide what I want to do with it. But I'm just going to patch these all together like so. There we go. Then again, grab a piece of paper and make sure to burnish everything together So it's all stuck down. And again, remember the back is also going to look really nice when this is finished up. Okay, and then I am going to see what kind of shape I want to cut from this. I might make twirly earrings, I might cut out a donut, not really sure. Let's see how it turns out first. And just spend a bit of time because you want to remove all of those seam lines between all of the little blocks. And this is quite a fun way to do leftovers. There we go, that should just about do. That up, and there we go. You can see how that looks. Quite cool actually. Okay, and I've decided to make a pendant. And because these are made up of little squares, I'm going to use this square-ish cutter and just position it roughly in the middle. Yes, I think that works. Press down, make sure that you get the middle as well. And this will be a nice pendant. And this is what I like to do with leftovers. I will just make a piece alongside the pieces of the project. And I'm just making sure to remove all those pieces. There we go. And the reason it's stuck in the cutter is because I am cutting on a piece of greaseproof paper essentially. But it shouldn't really stick. And there we go. Go around the edges and just quickly smooth anything out. And you can see there how the back is going to look. So that's going to be double-sided and it's going to look quite cool once it's baked. Pop this with the others, bake for a full hour, and then we can finish them off. Okay, and here they are out of the oven. And you can see how that has cleared up things quite nicely on both sides. Now, I have decided against resining the teardrops. I'm going to just varnish both sides. This one, however, I think I am going to either end up resining both sides or at least just the one. Especially this side over here, which I think will look very nice with the resin. So let's do that first. These I'm going to put to the side and we'll get to those in a bit. And this one I'm going to resin. I'm going to bring over a separate tile. Just pop that over there. There we go. Okay. And this is the resin I'm going to be using. And I'm just going to open that up. Just bear with me for one moment. And just take that and I'm going to pop that down onto the piece. And I'm not going to add too much. Just enough that I think it can be spread around to cover everything. There we go. And hopefully you can see how that has already brought out the colours. And then just take some tools and spread that around to the edges. Then I put that under my UV light for about 15 minutes. And that's going to differ from UV light to UV light. It depends on the either 36 watt light, so it's going to depend on that. And also some are stronger than others. Mine's quite old, so I think it's a little weaker than the ones that you would get nowadays. But I generally leave them under for at least 10 minutes. And then once this is done, I'm going to flip it over and I'm probably going to resin the other side. If I change my mind, you'll know about that. And then while this is curing, we can varnish the other pieces. Okay, and for the varnish I'm going to be using Varnishing polyurethane water-based gloss varnish, and I'm just going to bring over a brush with that. I've got a big canister over to the side so I can't have that on camera. But all you're going to do, let me just put these here. Yeah, this one looks nice. Let's work with that one. Just going to apply the varnish, and I'm probably going to do 2 coats on the front and 2 coats on the back, depending on how this looks. But you'll just apply a coat like so, just enough so that it adds a little bit of an opaque wash to the piece. Then you're going to put that to the side, and that will take about 15 minutes to dry if you're not in a very wet cold environment. In summer it dries even quicker than 15 minutes. But you basically want to let it dry until the varnish has completely cleared up. It will be opaque while wet, but will clear up once it's cured. And you can see there already that it's got a nice flash to it. And I'm going to cover all of the pieces on both sides. Again, as I said, probably 2 coats. In total, it's probably going to be about an hour, I'd say, of varnishing time. And then when that's done, we can assemble the earrings and the necklace. And also the other pendant that has resin on it should be pretty much done as well, because I need to resin the back of that as well. Okay, and here is how they should look once that varnish has dried. And here's how the back will look. Hopefully you can see there the sparkle of the leaf. And then if I bring over this piece, here is how it looks with the resin. I decided to just resin the one side, and then I varnished the other side. It's up to you if you want to do both sides or not. But for now, I'm going to put that one to the side. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this one yet. It could be a pendant, it could be a ornament. There's a bunch of different things you could do with it. But for now, this one's not going to get finished. But what is going to get finished are the earrings and pendants. So this is one of our earrings. I'm going to grab a little handheld pin drill, and I'm just going to drill a hole right at the top, like so, and just go through. There we go. Go back through the other way to make sure the hole is nice and clear. There we go. And then I need that hole to be a little bigger because that was quite a small drill bit. So I've gone up one size and I'll go back through the hole. The reason I don't immediately start with this size is because sometimes it can cause the clay to crack if you start with a large drill bit to start with. So I find making a smaller hole helps prevent that. There we go. Alright, and that's what you would do for the rest of your earring pieces. Then you're going to grab a jump ring and a ear wire, and I thought copper would go quite nicely with this because silver's quite cold, and I think this is quite a nice warm, almost Christmassy colour palette. So I'm going with copper, which I think will be quite nice and warm and inviting. And then you just go pop the jump ring on, pop the ear wire on, close, and simple as that. I'll show the rest of the earrings once I've finished off the necklace and we can see them all together. But that's what you would do for the earrings. Then for the pendants, I have drilled holes for all of them, and this is the last one. And for that, what you're going to want to do is grab a length of copper wire, and you're going to pop the wire through so that it's about halfway. Bend both pieces up like so, then bend them over like so, so that they look like that. Then select one of those wires and bend it up using your pliers. Grab the other wire and you're going to twist that around, and I'm going to use my fingers to do that. So I'm just twisting like so, and I've made about 2 loops. Then cut off that extra wire, and always remember to tuck that tail in because it can be quite sharp otherwise. Alright, and that's how you make a little wrapped effect. Then cut off the extra wire, and you get a good feeling for how much wire you're going to need. But just cut off that extra wire, and always hold these pieces that you cut off. You don't want them pinging off and catching anybody. Then grab your jump ring, or not jump ring, round nose pliers, and curl in a loop like so. And that is how you create a wrapped loop. And I've decided to go with that because the jump rings I have available are too thick for my liking, and this is a much thinner, less noticeable effect on the wire. But you could swap this out for jump rings if you have some nice thin ones that you want to work with, but sometimes it's nice to have different options. Now I'm going to bring the chain that I'm going to use over. Okay, and I have already done the other pieces, and I've marked where I need to hang this piece just by popping a little head pin in, because sometimes it can be very easy to lose where your place is. So I would recommend just kind of marking out where you need your pieces before starting. And then once you want to link everything together, just open up the top of that little loop and link it onto your chain. And let me just work out whereabouts I need to link that. Okay, I got it. And I'm just going to be quiet for half a moment while I concentrate. There we go. Then close that loop. Don't worry about correcting anything just yet. Just get that loop closed. Okay. I'm going to take that out because I don't need to mark that anymore. Okay, and I'm using copper chain, so let me just see if I got this right. Yes, I did. I'm just flipping it over so that it's all correct over on the other side here. Okay, there we go. And you have to just be a little careful with this chain because it's a flat chain, so you want to make sure that they're all linked on the bottom side of each chain link rather than some on the top and some on the bottom. Chain can be a little tricky to work with, but the results are quite nice. But yeah, that is how they should look. Then I'm going to grab a jump ring and a clasp. I'm using a little copper toggle clasp. And you're just going to open up that jump ring, link that onto the end of your chain, pop your clasp on, close that up, and there you go. Nice and simple. And you could link as many pieces as you want. You could link, you could make less, you could grab other beads, like you could have maybe some seed beads and link them on. That could work as well. But yeah, let me just flip that around so you can see. And I'm actually going to show the other side as well. So you can see there is completely double-sided, which is quite nice. Let me just show you, because that leaf really does shine through. It's difficult to show in this light, but yeah, it's got almost a faux labradorite or amylite effect to it, so it looks quite nice. Now flip that around, you've still got quite a good shine from the leaf, but with the pattern underneath. And yeah, that's the necklace. Let me bring over the earrings as well. Okay, and here are those final pieces. And if I shine those around, you can see hopefully the metal leaf underneath that as well. And again, completely double-sided. You can see that effect looks really nice, and it's always nice to have a double-sided effect. And these ones actually caught more of the blue, especially this one over here, whereas these ones it's a bit more on the green and orange side. But yeah, that is pretty much it for the tutorial. I do hope that you enjoyed. It actually turned out quite well. I'm very happy with how these all turned out, including the leftover piece, which looks quite cool. But yeah, if you enjoyed, please do let me know in the comments below, and if you would like to support the channel, please do consider becoming a member. There is a join button just below this video. There is also a link to my Patreon account. They're both exactly the same and are a great way to support the channel and help me produce more videos just like this one. Also, if you liked this video, please do consider leaving a like and subscribing, as I do videos just about every single day, and I'm sure you won't want to miss any. If you have any suggestions for future tutorials, leave them in the comments below, and I'm sure they'll become a video at some point. But yeah, that is pretty much it. Thank you for watching. I do hope that you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.